Ani, hello. My name is Chelsea Brunelle. I am from Batchewana First Nation. I'm of the Bear Clan, and I'm Ojibwe. And I've been asked a question. I've been asked what the month of June, Indigenous History Month, means to me as an Anishinaabe Kwe, as a student, as a young person, and it means a lot of things. And I could start with what I'm taking in school. I go to Algoma University in Sault Ste. Marie, and I'm majoring in community economic and social development and minoring in Anishinaabe studies. So to some, they would think, why would an Anishinaabe person be taking Anishinaabe studies? Wouldn't you know about Anishinaabe culture already? And to that, I'm thinking, well, yeah, I do wish that for me and for all Anishinaabe people, all Indigenous people in Canada and the world. But a lot of that has to do with colonization and assimilation of Indigenous cultures. Yes, there are so many, traditional people, knowledge keepers, elders that have passed on our teachings, our traditions, our culture, our language. Our culture has been erased through time. As much as colonizers could make it happen, as resilient as we are, the process of colonization and the goal of assimilation, it worked in many ways. Many people aren't connected to their culture as an Indigenous person, aren't knowledgeable of their own ancestors' history. There are many important people in my life that I know that are knowledge keepers, they're elders, they're cultural people, they're spiritual people. But there's a lot is missing from my life, and I needed to learn about my culture, and I want to work in my community of Batchewana First Nation. And thinking about, as a student who is going to be going into the workforce eventually, just in a few years, I have prepared myself with all this knowledge on my culture. It's a whole journey through my life to be a cultural, spiritual, connected person. And if I'm going out into my community, into other communities, and people aren't aware of my culture and the history that occurs, what does that say about Canada? What does that say about us, that Indigenous people have to go to school to learn about being Indigenous? Yet, non-Indigenous people can continue to be unaware, uneducated, prejudiced, discriminatory towards us in our lands. And that's what makes me think about why we need Indigenous History Month. Of course, it is a time to celebrate, it is a time to come together, to celebrate our culture and our resilience and what has occurred to us and what we've overcome and what we continue to overcome every single day. There's a lot I can talk about to things that I think about doing, and the future that I think about having in Canada. But for now, we need to come to a consensus of what actually occurred in history and what we're seeing today in terms of disadvantages that Indigenous peoples have every single day in their lives. So my main point is that I need Indigenous History Month to be a time of education. Obviously, it doesn't all have to happen in 1 month of June. It can continue to happen all year long, but actually having a time for those conversations to occur is really important. I know we are all thinking about the children that were found in the grounds of the residential school in British Columbia. And the rest of Canada and the world is, finding that out and thinking about it. And this isn't new information to the Indigenous peoples of Canada and their family members and ancestors that went to residential school and experienced that. My great-great Auntie Mary, who is still alive today, she is a residential school survivor. It didn't happen that long ago, So it didn't just occur in that residential school in that area of Canada. It happened all over Canada. Mass genocide is what it was, and it still is. A genocide continues to occur in different ways, and I encourage you to look into that as well. To this day, right now, especially a main way is through the missing and murdered Indigenous women and children. People think about genocide as, this concentrated event. And it doesn't have to be that. It continues to occur in so many ways. And so, although there's many negative things that we need to learn this month, there's also so many reasons to celebrate. And I encourage everyone to. It doesn't have to be just Indigenous people. You can celebrate your Indigenous friends and community members. I encourage you to go to powwows. I know COVID has halted a lot of gatherings. There's lots of online things that you could look into, but and gather with them and celebrate and learn. That's the biggest point of this month to me. That's the biggest lesson, is to learn. The month of June is about educating yourself. Where do you fit in Canada, and what should you do to be a better citizen and to understand your neighbors, us as Indigenous peoples, and what you can do to, end the ongoing process of colonization and assimilation of our culture. And of course, celebrate this month with everyone, with all Indigenous people you know. So miigwech for listening, and happy Indigenous History Month.